Okay, this video is about Blaise Pascal. He's going to be academic hero number 24, philosophy hero number 1 from our different series of these intellectual heroes. And we're going to be talking primarily about Pascal's wager. He was an expert on probability and mathematics. He was a mathematical genius. He invented the first calculator. Okay, so Blaise Pascal, he lived from 1623 to 1662. There's a movie about him if you're curious, about the biography of his life by Rossellini. You can see it on YouTube. So a couple quotes first from Pascal before we get to the wager. We know the truth not only by reason but by the heart. Man's greatness is his power of thought. Love and force are the source of all our actions. Love causes voluntary actions. Force causes involuntary ones. Truth is so obscure in these times, and falsehood so established, that unless we love the truth, we cannot know it. I think that's an important point. It's not easy to know the truth about something, especially when there's a powerful interest in making sure that you don't know the truth. I've had a bunch of friends tell me they can't get the truth about nutrition from the internet because they see so much contradictory information. I also said, I've gone to the bookstore and looked at 200 different books and looked at each individual one, and 99 out of 100 will be bad information, like low-carb, paleo, and all that stuff. So anyways, getting back to Blaise Pascal. Man, by grace, is made more like God and a partaker in his divinity. And without grace, man is like a beast. Pascal was an expert, in mathematics and on gambling and probability. And Pascal wrote what is called Pascal's wager. So here we go with Pascal's wager. There are 3 ways we use to see the truth: the outer eye of the body, the inner eye of the mind, and the inner eye of the heart, the soul. The heart has reasons that reason knows not. What should we want to be true? What if there was a bet with the possibility of infinite gain with no risk of loss? What if there was another bet with the possibility of infinite loss but no hope of gain? That would be the most interesting wager you could have. That is the reality of religion. God either exists or God does not exist. If you wager your life that God does not exist, and he does, then you lose everything. If you wager your life that God exists and he doesn't, then you lose nothing. If you wager your life that God does exist, and he does, then you gain everything. If there is one wager you should want to be able to make, it is on God. You must wager. You are already embarked. What will you choose? There is not a proof of God. This is not a proof of God, but it is an incitement to want to know. But knowledge of God without knowledge of Christ is insufficient, because the world would still make no sense to us. Imagine God created a world, just as Descartes described. So what? There is still the misery of man, the contradictions, the absurdities of life, incomprehensible to us. The world had a creator. Fine, but so what? What does it resolve? What does it answer for you? Without the knowledge of Christ, knowledge of God is a barren, empty, philosophical doctrine about a first cause, irrelevant and unimportant to life. But faith and Christian revelation change everything. There are arguments, but they won't convince you, because one does not believe in Christ through the mind. One believes in Christ through the heart. There were miracles, there were prophecies fulfilled, but those won't tempt you at all, because the mind rejects what's good and the will rejects what's good. But if one is touched in one's heart by grace, the heart has its reasons, which reason knows not. And the world finds it absurd that a Christian believes by faith and by grace. But here's what happens. Have you ever looked at a double perspective picture? And you look at it, and it looks like one thing. Then you change your perspective on it, and you look at it from a different angle, and you realize that it is a picture of something else. That is what Christian faith accomplishes. When you understand the full, you understand the absurdity and misery and dualism of human life. You understand how we are a combination of the exalted and the debased. when you understand the sacrifice, the crucifixion, the blood, the grace of Christ, then that there is a God and that this is his world, merited by the love that surpasses all understanding, it makes sense of that world, of that which was formerly incomprehensible. With faith, our contradictions and unhappiness, our greatness and depravity all fall into place. Not physics, not barometrics, not philosophy, none of these things are the goal of life. Inner peace and salvation are the goals of life, and those are matters of grace, the heart, and Christian faith.